So today's video, we are going to talk about the art of asking really great questions. The whole concept about this is really being able to identify a client's core driving emotion, and it is that core driving emotion that is going to help them make a decision as it relates to buying or selling real estate. And part of our job is asking really great questions to help them self-discover what their core driving emotion is, and for us to help guide them through our questions and our conversation to providing them with clarity and the ability to make a decision. And always remember that people are making a decision to buy or sell real estate because they believe their life is going to be better at their next place. And our job is to ask really great questions in order to help them self-discover what that driving emotion is. So stay tuned, watch this video, like or subscribe my channel if you want more of this content, and we'll be heading into the presentation in a second. We are talking about power questions today, and how do we get clients to reveal their motivation, their urgency, and their decision drivers. And I think what's critical and kind of set the stage for this is everyone makes a decision to buy or sell real estate because they believe their life is going to be better at their next place. Whatever those reasons are, they believe their life is going to be better. And that is really considered their core driving emotion for wanting to buy or sell some real estate. And part of our job is asking really great, powerful questions. One, to help them self-discover what their true emotional drivers are, and for us to also discover what they are so we can help guide our clients to the best decision for them. Okay. Power questions, and really, why do they matter? And we've talked about this in previous trainings before. Human beings make decisions based on emotion, and then they justify it logically. So we really want to make sure that we're going beyond the surface questions and digging a little bit deeper so we can tap into what those emotional drivers are and help them use logic to justify. And power questions bring that emotion to the surface, and it kind of transforms polite conversations into actual meaningful dialogue where we can actually have influence and we can help them make real decisions. Surface versus deep. When you ask surface questions, you get surface answers. When you ask powerful questions, you're really going to unlock those emotional drivers that are actually going to be what motivates people to buy or sell, and more importantly for us, hire us. And the difference between what is your budget and what would finding the right home mean for you and your family right now are two drastically different types of questions to approach. And you're going to find that connecting to people's emotions is going to be much more successful for you. So going with the what would finding the right home mean for you and your family. We've talked about this numerous times. The person asking the most questions is actually the person that is in control of the conversation. And interestingly enough, the person that's talking the most feels like they're in control. So we want to make sure that we're actually in control and guiding the conversation to an ability for that client to make a decision based on the questions that you're asking. And questions create our influence. And when you ask the right questions, something powerful actually happens. Clients start convincing themselves. We've talked about this. It's kind of that art of allowing that client to self-discover on their own, which is so much more powerful than you just telling them and talking at them. Asking those right questions for them to help self-discover it themselves. And if you master the art of questioning, you're never going to have to sell again, because we're actually not salespeople. We're actually here to be advisors to people and connect with them on an emotional level so that we can help guide them. Surface answers don't lead to decisions. And let's look at what happens when an agent relies solely on surface questions. They ask the surface question, what do you want in a home? Surface answer, 3 bedrooms, updated kitchen, good schools, under 500,000. Problem is, every agent has the same exact list. Most agents are going to say, great, I'll put you on, a notification from my website or from MLS that will give you, updated listings that will match that. That's superficial. That is not really helping somebody solve their problem. And it's not actually creating any sort of feeling of confidence in you as being their trusted advisor. We actually, and this goes in under the truth section here, we need emotion, not just information from them. We need, the features tell us what they want, and emotions are going to tell us why they're actually going to buy or to sell. And when you only collect data, guess what? We're just a commodity. We're just a customer service person. We are not a valuable real estate advisor. And I'll be really candid with you. If you're just a commodity, you're going to have a challenge justifying your commission rate. But when you're really proving that you're an advisor to help these people through this emotional time and connecting with them, you're not going to have a challenge establishing your value as their real estate advisor, and commission will not be an issue. Commission, just like price, is only an issue when there's absence of perceived value from your client. I love frameworks. You all know this. So this is kind of the question ladder. And how do you lead a conversation? Every great sales conversation actually follows this predictable path from surface to decision. This is actually your roadmap. So the question ladder is really a roadmap. Surface question: what do you want? You're going to get that logical checklist from them: bedrooms, location, price, bathrooms, kitchens, backyard. That's not enough. Now we got to tap into kind of their desire. And now we want to be asking questions like, what would that give you? If you had all of these things in your next home, what would that provide for you? Or if we were able to, sell your home at this particular price and get you to retire in Florida, what kind of lifestyle, what would that give you? And now we got to get into that emotional level. And so much of that emotional level is asking people why it's important to them. This is where the magic happens. When you say to somebody, why is that important? And they start to give you the reasons why those things are important, you have to process that, and you have to start figuring out, is this still surface on their core emotional driver, or are we now starting to peel that onion back a little bit? So that emotional level, why is that important to you? One of my favorite follow-ups is, tell me more about that. Dig a little bit deeper into that emotional start. And then if it's selling, what would happen? What would have to happen next for us to get you closer to being in Florida by the holidays? Or for a buyer, what needs to happen for you to be prepared to feel comfortable and confident about moving forward with me to help you buy your next home? So now we're actually asking them to make some decision level questions, but we can't get there if we're still stuck on surface. We have to go surface to desire, desire to emotion, and emotion to decision. Clarity questions. These are great. And just keep in mind, there'll be a slide a little bit further. I have not customized this for each individual kind of listening and learning style. So you have to always remember to try to identify if the person that you're speaking with is a visual learner, an auditory learner, or a kinesthetic learner, and change your language to ask those questions that are appropriate for them so that they actually feel like they're being heard and spoken to in a way that they're actually able to internalize it. So when you ask those clarifying questions, you might want to do something like, walk me through what you're looking for. What is your ideal outcome from, this transaction or this relationship look like for you? What problems are you hoping that this solves? Asking that question is also going to really help get them a little bit deeper into that emotional part. And clarity creates the confidence. And when a client has clarity, they're going to be that much more able, ready, willing, and able to make that decision. And when clients feel understood from the very first conversation, they're going to relax and open up for you. And we did talk about this a little bit on the training call about the 4-quadrant conversation. I'll probably do a whole training on that at some other point. But it's really where you're talking about what is the positive presence, what is their negative present, what is their negative future, and what is their positive future. And bringing people through that emotional quadrant where you start with what is good for them, what is currently challenging for them, What is their future going to look like if they're not able to fix that negative challenge that they're having right now? What is that negative future going to look like if a year from now they're still in a house that's too small? Or if they're a year from now in a house that's still that is actually too big for them and has stairs and they have knee and hip issues? To what does that positive future look like for them if they're able to make, the right decisions now to get themselves to what is going to be a better future? AKA why most people buy or sell is because they believe their life is going to be better on the other side. Motivating questions. Why now? How would your life change if we solved this challenge? What happens if nothing changes? Once again, we're sticking in that framework of kind of that 4-quadrant. And this is where decisions live. When you understand the emotional why, aka I've said it a couple times in this training, core driving emotion, you understand what's actually driving them to say yes. You all know I love this. Tell me more about that. Why it works. It's non-threatening. You're coming from curiosity, which is huge. It's impossible. It's an open-ended question. It's impossible for them to just say yes or no. And it gives clients the ability and the permission to go deeper without feeling like, we're being super salesy or we're interrogating them. When to use it? I use it all the time. I also use it as an opportunity to buy myself a little bit more space if, we're entering into what could be a challenging part of our conversation. For me to say, tell me more about that. Also gives me breathing room to figure out where are we going to need to kind of guide this conversation to. And then the secret, clients reveal everything when you don't interrupt. So silence after this phrase is really your friend, and let them fill it in. And when you become extremely comfortable in the awkward silence, you're going to discover so much about the person that you're having that conversation with. Because if you're okay just sitting in that silence, that's really truly where the magic happens. Of they're going to automatically want to fill it because most people are uncomfortable in uncomfortable silences. And you're going to start to discover a lot more about what their motivations are. So there's just a tip in here on how to practice that skill. Ask it 3 times the next time you're having a conversation with anyone in your world, especially a client. And you'll be amazed at the additional levels of information that you're going to receive, particularly emotional, that you would have missed out on by not asking more probing questions. 3 deep rule, I call it 3 level, 3 deep. First layer, want a bigger kitchen. Why does that matter? Well, we love to cook together. What else is important about your family cooking together? Kids are getting older. I want to create traditions before they leave home. Why does that matter to you? Why is that important? What's your world going to look like when we're able to find you a home that has this great kitchen where you can create all these traditions with your family? What is that going to mean for you? Now you're not just selling a kitchen, you're selling time with the family, and where they can create lasting memories, they can create traditions. Those are the emotions that are going to equate to actual actions. The deeper you go, the more powerful your influence is going to be able to become. Here's a couple different scenarios that you can look at. Once again, I'll post this PowerPoint for everybody as well, so that you can have some, examples of how to keep going 3-level deep. Decision questions. This is really important to keep in mind, is have a couple of them in your back pocket that you're just really comfortable using. What would need to happen today for you to feel ready? Well, if somebody is not kinesthetic, you'd need to make sure you're changing that world from feel. What would need to happen today for you to have it sound like it works for you? Like, figure out how you can kind of interpret these questions for the people's learning style. And based on what matters most, and this is a huge question, based on what matters most to you, buyer, seller, what is the best next step for you? This is going to loop them back and anchor them into what is mattering most to them that we've helped them self-discover. And we're asking them, what is that best next step? And oftentimes they're not going to know. They might say, you know what, I'm really not sure. Great, let's explore what your options are together. So you're really wanting to figure out, like, from what it matters most to them, have they made a decision? Because they might be like, let's get this whole process started. Or they might still be coming from, a place of fear, which means they just need more clarity, that we can help guide them through to create that opportunity for clarity. And clarity equals the ability to make those decisions. More decision questions. I love the scale of 1 to 10. How, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that you're ready to make a decision to move forward? They say an 8. What's going to have to happen to go from an 8 to a 10 or from a 3 to a 10? Now you're going to be discovering, where more of their potential concerns lie. Given everything we discussed, what's holding you back from making a decision today? Now we're going to, once again, feel where they might need some additional clarity. If we're able to find the perfect property for you today or this weekend, what would your next immediate action be? This is going to get them excited. This is going to get them kind of emotionally engaged with, oh my God, we could actually find the right property this weekend. And what's, the ideal time for you to achieve this goal? And if it's, someone who says, I want to be in, I don't want to have this house after the holidays. Great. Then what is the ideal timeline for you? Well, if you want to be out of this home by January, we need to start getting ready and signing listing agreement paperwork now, getting photography done, getting everything ready to list. And you might want to discuss, listing over the holiday season, because really active buyers are going to be out there, during the actual holiday season. Tailoring questions to listening style. So once again, auditory, visual, kinesthetic are the most frequent that you're going to find out there. So you really want to make sure that you're recognizing how that other person communicates, aka also how they listen, and changing your words that you use so that they actually feel like they're being heard. And tip, if you're ever, we've talked about this before, but if you're ever, let's just call it a listing presentation for an example, and there's 2 decision makers sitting there, watch body language. Watch whose eyes go to the other person, because the decision maker may not be the person who is talking the most. Usually the decision maker is going to be the person that the other person is looking to most often. So if you have a person who is very talkative, has a high social personality, is definitely a visual learner, but they're constantly looking at their partner, and that partner is an auditory learner, you want to be speaking to the auditory learner, because that's the decision maker. If you're speaking the language of the person that is talking the most but isn't the decision maker, your message may not be processed as effectively with the actual person who is a decision maker. So that's just, mirror matching body cues, other sales techniques that are really important for you to be the most effective sales advisor in real estate as you possibly can be. And loop back to what matters. We got to listen, take notes of what the client says. Remember to repeat their words back to them. It's not just about features. It's the emotion, priorities, and concerns. And a really great thing to think about is a house has all of these features. What we need to do is translate features into actual benefits so that we're really able to make that connection emotionally from the feature of the house, but really what are those benefits? Use that kitchen example. This is a really great kitchen. It's got a huge island. It's got stainless steel appliances. It's, got granite countertops. Those are features. But what are the benefits? Can you, and if you're sitting there with a visual learner, can you picture you and your family, cooking Sunday brunch and creating their traditions in this kitchen? And now you can talk about the features. It's got a great island. You can all hang out around it. Like now we're talking about what are the features of a property or features of pretty much anything, and what is the benefit to the actual consumer? You want to make sure, and we're talking about remember, store exact phrases. So if someone is using an exact phrase like I want to be closer to my grandkids or close to my mother in this example, we need more room, or just looking for a fresh start in a bigger house, making sure that you're repeating those phrases back to them, because that's going to subconsciously resonate with them. And loop back, use their language. Earlier you said being close to your mom is important. What options support that best? Really great question. You're tying them back to the emotions. You're using their language that they're already accustomed to using. And why this works? Clients follow what they say matters. When you mirror their priorities back to them, we're not manipulating. We're actually providing that mirror of clarity for them. And when they can see that kind of in a mirror looking at us, they may discover that that's not even what's most important to them. And now we go back to asking great questions to get to that core driving emotion. And they're going to trust their own judgment far more than ours. So we need to get to the point where we're having them self-select that this is the right decision for them. And we do that by continuing to ask really great questions and really targeting into what is their core driving emotion. Here's just some suggestions on, if you ever get the tell me, let me just think about it. Old way, okay, great. Call me when you're ready to make a decision. They're never going to call you. What we need to do is when they say think about it, we got to remember it's really just continuing to have more clarity. Sometimes the let me think about it means they've already made a decision, but the people who you're having that conversation with might want to check in with each other before they say, yes, we want to hire you. But what we want to talk about is asking them more about, let me think about it. Great, completely understand. I would feel the same way if I was you, because this is such a really big decision. Now, just a question that I have for you, if you don't mind my asking, do you need more clarity on timing, more clarity on, the ability that this is the right decision for you moving forward? Tell me a little bit more about what specifically you need to think about. Now you're actually driving the conversation closer to a decision. And once again, highlighted here, people don't need more time, they need more clarity. And our job is to figure out what they're uncertain about so we can help them get to a point where they have that clarity and they've self-discovered it themselves. Recap. The power question formula. This is to bring it all together. Ask. Start with clarity questions so you understand what they want and why it now matters to them. Go deeper. Use the 3 deep, the 3-level rule to get much more to their motivation and get into that core driving emotion. Make sure that we're using the question ladder that goes and gets you up to that decision place, and just keep going deeper till you feel like you've really tapped in to their core driving emotion and they've tapped into it as well. And loop back. We want to reflect their priorities using their own language, their own listening and learning style to guide them towards the decision that best serves them. And the beautiful truth is when you master power questions, something remarkable happens. Clients close themselves. And that's what we want. We're not selling anybody. We're helping them move through a decision ladder. They don't feel sold. They actually feel understood. And we all know nobody wants to be sold to. They actually just want to feel like they're being heard and understood. And now you're not a salesperson anymore. You're the guide, you're the Sherpa of their transaction. You're the guide who asks the questions that help people discover what they really want and really why it matters. And now I am going to escape. Come back to here. I am going to stop sharing. So I hope this has been helpful for you. I will be posting this, so you'll be able to watch this as many times as you might need to. And I will see you all on the next video.